Our enemies, our competitors are assembling. We will only require 1 or 2 meetings to dismantle all whatever that they are planning. Na wakati ya serikali ya kufanya campaign ikifika, because during an election, at times it's not about the people you love or the people you like. It's about the people you need, the people you require. So ile wakati ikifika, hata ule Rigathi ambayo tulimwimpeach, if we require him, tutamrudisha, because he was only unsuitable to serve our country as a deputy president, but he can be suitable to be a voter, to be a member of our coalition. Na sababu sahil, I'm sure he will undergo some kind of rehabilitation. Sahi amejua ya kwamba ukikuwa naibu rais mpaka unakuwa mtu ambaye unapenda makabila yote. He is learning something, and I'm sure even the people, the church is praying for him. So we are hoping that by 2027, mwezi wa tano hapa, he will have reformed. We will revive his membership kwa UDA na tumrudishe akae tu hapa kama member, tumtafutie kazi nyingine ambayo anaweza fanya wakati hiyo ikifika. So don't worry, when time of assembling the team comes, we will assemble the team.
A very good afternoon and welcome back to Havana Media. My name is Boniface Awino, and as usual, I'm going to be your host for today. Now, today being Monday, we're supposed to have 2 guests. That is Honorable Dan Lukurito together with Professor Fred Ogola, but quite unfortunate. Prof, I think, is committed somewhere. That is why he's not here today. But all in all, our interview or our conversation must continue. And I'm glad to have Dan Lukurito here, Honorable Dan Lukurito. That is how I call him. I'll give him time to introduce himself, but before that I want to ask him a question. Honorable, assuming you are a doctor and you want to treat someone with high blood sugar, how do you go about that?
Assuming,
yeah,
you know, I've never been a doctor in my life. I don't even know how those things work. But the issues of blood pressure, high sugar level, and so on, I happen to have experienced such. So one of the things you do is you reduce the intake. There are things you stop eating. Like the doctors might advise you to stop taking that sugar, stop taking meat. If you drink alcohol, stop, and so on and so forth. So each of those conditions is treated differently. But because I'm not a professional in that area, not pretend I know so much. The best advice would be to consult somebody who doesn't assume to be one, but one who is. Yes.
So you can't talk about that?
I can't talk about that because I'm not, I'm the least qualified to talk about the medical issues. Maybe if you were to ask me about financial literacy, that is my area. I can advise on that. But then you wanted me to introduce myself. Let me do it first. And thank you, Boniface, for inviting me here again today. My name is Dan Lukurito. I'm a financial consultant. I work here in Nairobi. Any other question?
That's nice. So if someone wants...
You know, Bonnie calls me honorable. I've been telling him this. Okay, maybe it is a prophecy that might or might not come true. But I'm very passionate about issues of leadership and integrity. I believe in real leadership, Boniface, like I've told you before. We don't have to be always having these imposters for leaders. We need real leaders who have the heart of the people. And those people are there. We don't have a shortage of people. It is only that they are, because of the fear of, I don't know, of the unknown or something, most of these people tend to keep off, to shy away from leadership. And that is why that is why we come to this studio to address these matters. So that hopefully some of them would listen and try to take some of this advice that we always give for free.
That's nice. So I will just like it. I will love to mic just like
oh
that.
yes, that is better.
Yeah, that one now is better. Now, I want now to get into our discussion, and I think I've got around 2-3 things that I would like us to discuss. But before we talk about the first one, let me ask you this. How do you think William Ruto is going to survive this thing up to 27? Because looking at the generation that William Ruto is dealing with is a very educated generation, very informed, that you can't do something and just go like that. They must go and confirm. Take a look at the scenario of what happened in Western, where the president went and launched a transformer. People went and confirmed that indeed it was a transformer and the taps, the water taps. Those are the things that he launched.
And that was, by the way, that was in a village next to mine where I come from. So I have real information on that transformer, that particular one. That tap, I can confirm. I've talked to even to people on the ground.
So it is true.
It is true.
And then now also Kithure Kindiki went to did the same thing.
Yes.
Where
and you see, you just before you finish your question, this is the thing I've been talking about. You know, you can lie to some people sometimes, but not all the people all the time. Unfortunately, this particular occupant of the office of the president, I think, you know, this is a different season. If it was during the Moi era, for example, or maybe the earlier days of Kibaki, information was a bit slow to reach the people. But today we have internet. You do something here today, it flies all over. People get to know about it. So this government has nowhere to hide. Whatever they do, we are watching them. Everybody is watching them. Even if they go and pretend like Kindiki was pretending to launch a road somewhere the other day. And you could even see even the photos on that were shared on social media. There is another comedian who had done that as a comedy, I think Kindiki took it too far. He made it real. I think this guy is called Crazy Kenna.
Crazy Kenna.
Yes,
he did it long time ago. By the way,
long time ago. And Kindiki is doing exactly the same thing.
What he did.
This tells you that possibly, like I said, we have the wrong people in office. These are people who don't mean well, who didn't go there because they had anything good to do, but because of the circumstances. Remember, last voting was a vote against, especially people from Central. Many of them were voting against Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't have a particular good candidate that they would rely on. Then they put us in trouble because we got the worst of all. Of course, we thought it is a good candidate. Some of us thought so because of the nice speeches and the praise God and so on and so forth. So we thought we were electing a good leader. But then, you know, there is that saying in the Bible about the sheep. Is it the hyena in a sheepskin? Yes, that kind of thing. We ended up with this particular person in office, and we are every day discovering that he actually has no clue what he's supposed to do. One of the things I read this morning is that we collected in the last financial year, because of the change. Of course, I give it to him for this particular one. When he changed all payments, government payments, including taxes, to pay through a till number, our collection went from, I don't know how much it was, to about 100 billion.
100 billion?
Yes, that is what we collected. Now, we cannot show what we did with the 100 billion. That is where the challenge is. People are paying taxes, but they cannot tell what these taxes are doing. So your question was, how is Ruto going to survive?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll survive. I don't think he'll survive. If he's lucky, he'll get to 2027, but he'll not get a second term. And I'm sure he also knows. And that is why these days his speech has changed to, I'm not interested in a second term. It is not like he's not nobody wants to be in power for only one term.
Yeah, one term.
When the constitution allows you to run for 2 terms.
That's true.
So the ground has become very hostile, and I'm sure he knows. And that is why he's saying, okay, I'm not interested. I'm interested in delivering. There are those who are arguing that he has achieved more than Kibaki did in the first year.
It was Kindiki.
Is it Kindiki who said that?
Yeah.
The only thing I can see that Ruto has outdone any other government so far is the issue of abductions and people showing up dead in mortuaries. He has done so well there. Can you show me anything else he has done better than Kibaki?
High taxation.
Yes, and the taxes. By the way, the issue of taxes, it is a matter that we raised very early. The tax, before they passed the tax bill of 2023. We said these taxes are going to be so high, and if you don't listen to people, they'll end up protesting against you. He refused to listen. So maybe on those 2 things he's doing very well. Taxing people and abductions and killings.
And lying.
Of course, lying goes without saying. And you know what the Bible says about lying? All liars...
Just finish.
All liars will go to hell. Yes.
All liars go to hell.
All liars.
All liars.
Yes. So I'm sure you know the candidates who are going to hell. Have you ever lied yourself?
Of course. Okay, I can't say that I've never lied.
So you are one of the.
Of course, but now you see this one now is upgrading. This one is upgraded. This one now is lying on a broad daylight.
And it reaches a point where you ask yourself, is this a kind of a disease or something? Because you see, you cannot keep lying every day. You wake up, you lie again, until even a nursery school kid knows.
Yeah.
Imagine I asked you this question one day. Imagine if your own child, say a 3 or a 5-year-old, knows that my father is a liar. What kind of parent is that one? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Do we have to continue this way? I don't think we have to. The Constitution allows us to vote out somebody every 5 years. But this one doesn't have to wait for 5 years.
But do you think okay, where we are right now, do you think it would be very easy? Okay, why what if now we just allow him to finish his term and then now he's being taken out from the office during the elections?
If our constitution allowed, we would remove him, like I said earlier, before the 5 years are over. But because we are a constitutional country, you know, one thing I like about Kenya is that anybody can go anywhere and say anything. The Constitution allows that. And it doesn't allow, there is no law. By the way, there is no law against abductions. So anybody can abduct you and make you disappear, and nobody will do anything about it. Sometimes even the security officers, senior ones, are called in court. They don't appear, and nothing is done to them. Why? Because there is a weakness in our law. There is no law against abductions. And I wish our MPs came up with such a law so that we don't have to be going through this, whatever we are witnessing now. Remember during the Uhuru regime, those people who were killed and thrown in rivers across the country, people are still disappearing. And that is one of the things that this particular president promised that it will not happen under his watch. Today it is happening. It therefore tells me that it doesn't matter who we put in office. If we don't have proper laws to govern these things, we will still have people disappearing under Maraga. We would have people disappearing under Matiang'i and any other person. So I'd urge that those who know come up with a law and pass it quickly through parliament, so that next time any Kenyan is abducted, we know who to take to court. Today, people are just talking about, we are collecting evidence, we will present to ICC and so on. Do we have to keep watching as people disappear and die until that time when we go to ICC? I don't think it is a good idea.
Wow. Now, let's talk about, I heard Didmas Baraza saying something that they would bring Gachagua back if they need him.
Now that you mentioned Didmas, did I tell you Didmas is a story? I know something about him. And I was looking at the papers today. You know, Didmas did a lot of work building schools in his constituency. Now, according to the papers today in the Daily Nation, out of the 10.2 million he used, is it billion? He used, about 7 was paid to contractors. Is it 7 billion or 700 million? Was paid to contractors who had abandoned building. In other words, they didn't finish the project, but they were still paid.
They didn't finish the project?
They didn't finish, but they were still paid. And from the CDF kitty. The CDF kitty is controlled by the MP. So when you hear such a person saying things like he said yesterday, you know, I learned not to take them, some of them, seriously. Didmas was accused of shooting somebody some time back. And it is true that guy died and was buried. Do we want to brush that aside?
That one cannot be brushed.
So is that somebody you want to take seriously?
You want to be a governor?
Didmas wants to be a governor of Bungoma County. And he seems to be attracting a lot of people from the crowds I see online. But then, I don't know. I want to equate him to the likes of Kinaichungwa. Didmas, I don't know. Maybe there is a scheme. I am even told they tried to, I read somewhere, they tried to give Rigathi 10 billion to get back to get some positions in government, but he refused. If you are Rigathi, would you take that position back?
No.
After the humiliation he went through, I'm sure he'll not. But then, who is this Gachagua again? The same one who was sworn in with Ruto?
Yeah.
The same one who was speaking like he owns the whole country?
It's him.
Why don't we first start by asking him where Uhuru's goats went? Or are they part of the ones he went to give to Martha Karua? I don't know. So that is the kind of leader that today many people are coalescing around, especially in Central.
Yeah.
Maybe before you ask me this, there is some guy there called Ndindi Nyoro. Ndindi Nyoro is doing a very good job in his constituency from the reports. I heard they also want to impeach him.
Yeah.
For what reason?
I don't know.
Because Ndindi Nyoro was one of the most vocal,
the most vocal.
But since the impeachment of Gachagua and the ground shifting, he has been playing safe politics because he listens to the ground. But then you realize when you play safe, there are people who might not like you because you are not singing their tune. Maybe that is why they want to do it. They think he's supporting Gachagua, maybe, or maybe not. But they have their own reasons. But on the matter of Gachagua again and Didmas, you know, so people like Didmas are very close friends to the president. Yes, not to the government, to the president. Yes. That is Didmas.
Oscar Sudi.
The unofficial deputy president.
Kindiki. And also, how do you call it? The unofficial, that is...
his PA.
Yeah, his PA. Farouk Kibet, yeah.
Yes. So possibly Didmas is speaking from a point of knowledge, because these are the people who listen to the president, who are, those are his kitchen cabinet. Just like Nabiwot used to be under Moi. So possibly there is that discussion, because you see somebody like Gachagua could only be contained when he was inside government.
Yeah.
The mistake they made was to kick him out. So he's now out there urinating inside, as opposed to being inside urinating outside. That is where the challenge is. They don't know what to do with him anymore. He's becoming like Raila was during the Moi and Kibaki days. With such a person, you'd rather have him inside than outside. So, but it is too late for them.
So, okay, you are not seeing Gachagua taking...
I don't see him getting back to government.
But why?
In fact, he has sworn to lead. In fact, his slogan now is Operation Okoa Paisley.
Yeah, Okoa Paisley.
He has become the people's savior of the Paisley. You remember what I told you last time? When you see Gachagua, people start listening to him, you know the country has gone to the dogs. And they are good people. This country doesn't have a shortage of good people who can be in government. They are there. What is limiting them? One, fear of the unknown. Two, they don't have the financial muscle to run a campaign. I've met even people who want to run for president in this country. And when it comes to the finances, it is a big challenge. People like, if you listen to people like Ruben Kigame, Ruben Kigame has very good ideas. I wish somebody listened to him. In fact, if anybody listened to him and implemented what those ideas he has, this country would go very far. We have people like Professor Ogola, whom we were talking with the other day. We have people like Maraga, for example, the former CJ. The guy we were thinking at some point we should force him. By the way, I think we should force him into this position.
But I don't think if he will take it.
Yeah, maybe because of the other day we were talking to Professor Kivuda Kimbwana. He said, no, now my family has refused. They want me to stay home and I've spent too much time serving other people.
So I want to serve my family.
Now I want to serve my family. And he went silent. Those are the people that we were thinking maybe we need in leadership.
That can save the country.
They are not there. But, okay, without necessarily campaigning for people, I have a friend of mine who is also planning to run for governor of Bungoma. Some guy called CPM Michael Wanjala. He seems to have very good ideas. But finances. So if we get people to finance such people, maybe we will end up with the kind of leadership that we need. But so long as our politics is driven by money, we will always have people, good people, going and selling their manifesto. Then somebody shows up with money at night and changes their minds.
But now, you just need to, what I normally say is that we just need to take, at this point, with the generation that we have, because remember the Gen Zs are around 5.6 million.
Yes.
Yeah, 5.6 million Gen Zs. It means that if at all the people will decide to go and vote, they're going to change the narrative of the country.
They before they even reach the point of deciding to go and vote, do they have IDs?
That is the question.
Yes. And who controls the ID registration? Who tells you? You know that the IEBC is not in place even now. Yes. How much time are they going to have to register people?
Can that one be one of the things that maybe William Ruto might be using to counterattack his opponents?
The government printer was operating under which ministry?
Was it under Attorney General?
Should be Interior.
Interior.
Yes. Do you know it was moved to the office of the president? Did you know that one?
It was moved to the office of the president.
Yes. Directly under somebody called Koske. Koske is the controller of State House, something like that. Now, the IDs are printed by the government printer.
At the State House.
So it will be done in State House now. Possibly. State House can be moved anywhere, even in the sky, there on the moon.
Yeah.
But the fact is, these are the people who are going to be controlling who gets the ID and who doesn't. So if there are any Gen Zs there who are thinking they'll first apply for IDs, I want to warn them in advance. One, you will be delayed in getting your ID. They'll always get a reason to delay you. But they'll go and possibly register those who are friendly to them. So that when the voting comes, they have the numbers. Remember, there is also the issue of the boundary review, which is coming up. And the argument now is they are going to use the census of 2009, not 2019. Why? Because they want to delete, I'm using the word delete in quotes, some constituencies. Because they didn't reach the threshold of what it requires to be a constituency. That is one of the reasons they are using. It looks like some of the people have been using fake numbers to get CDF and spend it the way they want on non-existent projects, on non-existent students. Remember the issue of schools with gates only.
With gates only.
There is only a gate and a signboard that there is a school, but when you go there are no school. But in the government records, there are students in those schools. There are teachers who are paid a salary every month. Those are the kind of things we are talking about. Now, you want to tell me those things were happening without the knowledge of the provincial administration? No, macho ya president iko pale.
It must have happened with them knowing.
They knew. So where is the problem? So in trying to perpetuate the narrative that certain regions have more people than others, people came up with those fake numbers. And if we were to go to the bottom of this, I think the governing system, the governing people would change drastically. Before the last election, I remember seeing some information shared in social media. Some even kids underage were registered. They were given IDs and they were meant to register as voters. And they actually voted.
They voted
in a certain way. So those are some of the things. Stealing an election starts early. It doesn't only happen on the day of counting. They start through registration, where you are told, for example, where I come from, you are told maybe this is a constituency of 1 million people, adults. That is, so you expect 1 million voters from that area. Now, to cover up those numbers, I think someone has to come up with data to back what they have said. So they come up with assumed names and issue IDs on those names and give to particular people and encourage them to go and register as voters because their names are in the government system. Then on the voting day, they show up and vote and disappear until the next election. That is the kind of thing that we are looking at.
So how are we going to deal with this?
Human beings are difficult people. If we were to change, we need to start by working on the software part of the human being. we have to make people realize why they are called human and not animals. Because when you are human, you'd want to treat another person the way you would want to be treated.
To be treated, that's right.
Yes. So I think that is the only way. These days we have even people like what happened on Saturday. We have even church leaders killing each other on the pulpit. Can you imagine somebody carried a knife in a Bible and stabbed another one to death?
It's so, I don't know how to put that.
And this is somebody who goes to church.
Who goes to church?
Yes. So we have to work out the whole human software. That is where the problem is. Because if you have somebody who knows, if I want this one to do this to me, I have to do to them this way.
This way, yeah.
It would be much better. Okay. Sometimes I don't know the law with the love triangle. So, sorry for digressing a bit,
okay.
But I just want to make this clear. Before it reaches a point where this guy comes with a knife to stab a church elder because he's going out with his wife, it means there is a problem with the moral fabric. We have a problem. First, in the first place, where do you get the courage to approach somebody's wife? What happened to our values? Where I come from, we used to be told when we were growing up, the open door is yours. In fact, there is a musician who sang that song. A closed door, don't even approach. And I'm not using this to mean the real door. The moment you see a woman who is married to somebody else, whether you know this person or not, that is a no-go zone.
Whether you are in a relationship or not.
Whether you are in a relationship or not, don't try to approach that one. And even the Bible says the anger. When somebody discovers that you are going out with their wife, they can kill you. That is why even King David, when he realized he had messed with Uriah's wife, he had to kill him. Because you cannot control the anger of a man whose wife has gone out with somebody else. You know, it is a state of madness that cannot be explained. So the fact that we reach a point where somebody sees a married woman and doesn't give her that respect, still goes ahead and sleeps with her or whatever they do, that tells you that we are in a rotten society. It makes it worse that this person is a church elder. So how safe are our women and children in church? That is where the problem is. Because the church is supposed to be a moral compass for the society. So if such things are happening inside there, then you can imagine a layman like me. I told you I've done some theology, but I go to church once in a while. So you can imagine if now it is me who goes to church once in a while, what can't I do? So we need to go back to the basics. Turudi pale penye our parents used to advise us, and the community used to advise us, this and this you should not do. But we are in a situation where the life, kila mtu anaishi maisha yake, my life, my choice, my dress, my choice, and so on.
Don't you think that some of these things that are happening, like let's say for instance, someone is sleeping with someone's wife, and take a look at that now with the scenario, what happened now that the person that was stabbed is an elder. He was sleeping with someone's wife, a very young lady. Don't you think that sometimes maybe it was problems that maybe might have led this lady to do, because I don't think if someone with his or her right senses would just decide to go and sleep with someone without any reason.
Boniface, today's society has a problem. And let me tell you from my own experience. And I know these people will be watching. And
It's okay.
Anyway, one of the things you learn when you grow up in a proper family setting is that, like I said before a few minutes ago, you should never approach somebody's wife. That is number one. And I think it should be the same with wives approaching other people's husbands.
Yeah.
I've had an experience myself of being approached by somebody whom I think is married. And, you know, my own culture doesn't allow that. And when I told this lady that I will not do this because I'll be sinning against God. That is the biggest sin I can ever commit. 2, I can only imagine if it was my wife going out with another man, how I'd feel. I'd not want to put a fellow man in such a situation to feel that pain. I'm just imagining. And this lady was shocked. She was wondering, what kind of man is this one? The lady is beautiful, yes. She's a kind of person that anybody would want. Yes. But I said no.
But now you look at yourself and maybe, there's also another thing that I was doing some studies about this forgiveness. And realized something that, let's say for instance now the lady approached you and by bad luck or maybe because of one or two reasons you accepted. And then you went, of course, when she's coming to you, she expects maybe you to go and sleep with her. That is true. Or maybe one or two things, and it will lead to that. And then you go and ask God for forgive. You know God will forgive you. But now, you'll do a mistake with after sleeping with her, your wife. It's like a trauma. Your wife will never forgive you, and she will never trust you.
Just like you can you trust your wife if you realize she has gone out? Leave her alone sleeping with anybody.
It's difficult. It's
just finding something suggestive, maybe on her phone and so
might
on.
Be driving to that.
It kills the feelings. It kills the trust. You never look at this person the same again. That is the challenge. And I think that is why the Bible was also very clear on that particular one. I think God did it. God I don't know what he was thinking when he put these things there. But anyway, what I'm saying is, one, if we go back to the basics, we will respect each other. We will respect each other's property, including wives and children. We will do to others what we would want them to do to us. Bonnie, if you have a girlfriend and you don't want me to approach your girlfriend someday, it is only fair that you don't approach mine.
Yeah.
If you don't want me to steal from you, you don't steal from me. Let's go back to the question of leadership. Most of these people we've known, I told you I've known Didmas from before he became MP. And if he watched this, if he sees this show, he will confirm it is true. The first time I met Didmas was before the 2013 election. And we met somewhere, just 3 of us. It was me, a certain journalist used to work for, I think, West FM or something. Then Didmas. And that is when he was sharing with us his vision of being the MP for Kimilili. Those days, I think we had an MP called Suleiman Morunga. In that constituency. Or was it Suleiman? Yes, Suleiman. Suleiman is the one who replaced Dr. Kitui. Kitui replaced Mwangali. So we had this discussion and Didmas was very humble. And somehow God blessed him and made him MP, and today he's there. And we've seen Didmas can now afford a chopper, a helicopter. How much is a helicopter?
Not even how much is even hiring it.
Okay, let's talk about buying. Can you estimate?
30?
Oh, 300
Yeah,
million.
300, no 30.
300 million.
250 to 300.
What is the salary of an MP?
739.
How many years does he need to make 150 million?
150. That is if it's that is 739,000. Roughly, let's say roughly a year. Plus.
And that is just one chopper.
Yeah.
We've not talked about the houses he has built. We've not talked about the farms he has bought.
The vehicles that he has.
The vehicles that he has. He has even built, I know one of his brothers amemjengea nyumba tena inakaa very big house. I know the place. These are the kind of leaders we have who are stealing from us tukiona. Sasa si tukifika hapo pia tuwaibie itakuwa ni mbaya. An eye for an eye. Right? Is that the kind of life they want to live? If if the president today can have young people to be abducted, na naangalia tu, people's children die, parents are crying, what will happen when he gets out of power? Will he expect the people to treat him any differently?
No.
Or even his own children? You know, sometimes we do things without thinking of the consequences in future. There is, unfortunately, there is a crisis in DRC today. But when, you know, DRC had a prime minister called Patrice Lumumba.
Patrice Lumumba.
Yes. And they killed him. They took him and went and threw him among his enemies, and the enemies killed him. It is like you now today taking Ruto today, uende umutupe huko kwa Gachagua. Kunaitwaje? Wamunyoro village.
A village, yeah.
Where Gachagua has lit all fires and everybody's raring to kill this man. Then you bring him
there.
That is what they did with Lumumba. Because Lumumba had ideas of uniting the country, and somehow some people thought they are not going to be able to benefit from this. It came to Mobutu.
Seseko.
Yes. Mobutu was brutal, a brutal dictator, and he killed a lot of people. And he used the money to build a palace. How did Mobutu die? He was buried by about less than 10 people in a foreign country.
A leader.
Yes. Have you ever heard of Mobutu's children?
No.
Do you know he has children? Do you know he had wives?
Of course he had wife.
Yes. Yeah. And do you know, as one of the ways of making his own ministers loyal to him, he would sleep with their wives.
Why?
Mobutu had this funny belief that when you bring somebody's wife closer to you, you get to know all the secrets about them. Yes. So he would make sure he sleeps with your wife.
No.
So that he gains control over you. Because he knows the okay. The bottom line is, where is he today? And is Congo a better country than it was? The answer is no. It is worse than
the way
it was. And that is why there is even this war we are talking about. So if you keep breaking the promises you make to people, even this current president, when he came in, he promised to unite the whole country. But now the so-called, what are they called? The Banyamulenge.
The Banyamulenge.
Every time they ask for, I wish you pass that side and see how bad the roads are. You can even Google. They are on Google. The roads are not roads.
They're pathetic.
But those people pay taxes. So they have been asking for development, and every time they ask, they are told, go back to Rwanda. This is not your country. That is why they are up in arms. when we keep breaking the promises we make to people, at some point people will say now enough is enough. Kwani mtu anakufa mara ngapi?
Yeah.
Si heri nikufe saa hii na hii ishe.
Yeah.
So I either die or try and make things better. That is the kind of life that some people end up living as a result of being mistreated. Not just in DRC, it can happen in any other country. There are countries we know where people have fought to death.
Now, I've remembered something. Last week, a lot of pastors, a lot of church leaders went to Wamunyoro to meet Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
And the same thing that they are doing is what William Ruto did, bringing church leaders close. Do you think these church leaders have realized that the only way to survive in this country, because remember, William Ruto threatened to tax churches. Of course, it has not happened, but where there is smoke, there is fire. And according to the way things are, do you think that church leaders realize that the only place to survive, or maybe the only people that can build the next government are the people that are going to move with Rigathi Gachagua? So for us to be safe, let us go to Rigathi Gachagua and talk, because remember, he was saying something that he gained a lot of things. They discussed the state of the nation, the direction, and all that.
The fact is, Gachagua is going to be a big factor in the next election. How? He will influence who becomes the president. He has successfully so far removed Central, the so-called Mulima, from Ruto.
Yeah.
The question is, where is he taking these numbers? We don't know. So people have to align with him. And now that you mentioned the issue of churches, I was one of the people that championed, actually some pastors know, because we went around telling them you need to participate in politics. But when it became about getting brown envelopes, some pastors lost direction. It is okay for pastors to go where they feel safe, but they must not forget that their mission on earth is not political.
It's not political.
Theirs is a divine mission, so that is where they should focus. On the issue of taxes, I think some of the richest institutions in this country are churches. Churches control a lot of money.
Yeah, that's right.
I was looking at the financial statement for one of the churches here in Nairobi, and it had collected over 2 billion in 1 year.
2 billion?
Yes. What does the church do with that money?
2 billion?
2 billion. One of the prominent churches here, 2 billion shillings in 1 year. Nobody asks where this money goes.
Do they have some developments to do?
That is what we should be asking. If you look at some of the mainstream churches, without mentioning them, they used to build schools, hospitals, and so on. That is where some of that money was going. But if you look at, okay, let me give you a quick example. When Pastor Ezekiel was called by I think the parliamentary committee,
the EACC,
and they wanted to find out how much he collects, because they realized he has a lot of money in the accounts, and he was building a very big project down there in Mavueni.
It was school when he was building
I think it was a school, a hotel, a petrol station.
He had built an hotel
and so on. Such things. He has actually developed a whole town alone. Yeah. And he was not even born there. It tells you the amount of money that these churches control. And anybody would be afraid of an institution holding that much money. So as a way of knowing how to control them, I'd have to, and also to raise taxes, because by the way, the government needs taxes.
But
I'd think out of the box.
Now, you're talking about the government needing taxes.
Yes.
Now, the government need tax to do what?
Exactly. To do what? I'm coming there.
Now, remember, they are borrowing.
Yes.
No, you need our tax. At the same time, you're going to the developed countries to borrow money.
This is why I said it is about the software. You see, if you are taking money that is not yours, and then you use it like it is yours, that is where the problem is. There are some countries here in this world, a country like I think Luxembourg or something, that takes almost 60% taxes from people, but they don't complain. Do you know why? Because people see what those taxes do. In such a country, education is free.
It's free.
From lower, say baby class all the way up to university. It is free. Medical care is free. Water is free. Electricity is free. I think housing has been subsidized to such a level that you don't even feel it when you pay. The roads are good. The ability to own a car is fairly easy as compared to our system. So even if you took 70% of my taxes and you are doing most of the things for me, I won't complain.
Yeah.
But the challenge here is, yes, we are collecting taxes. Like I mentioned, it was in the papers today.
Yeah.
They collected 100 billion. From I think 2 billion or something. Where is that money going? That is the money that the people are using to construct palaces in Narok, in Goi. There are others doing very big projects here in Nairobi. I hear there are people who have bought apartments in Dubai and so on. If you have that mentality of a leader in power, you have a problem. I wouldn't mind even if the government taxed me 90% and paid fees for my child, paid for my housing, ensured I have food to eat, and ensured I have a job. Actually, most people get stressed because they don't have anything to do. I have a friend of mine who has been calling me for a whole week because she lost her job where she was working. Even this morning, she was asking me, now I'm waking up early. Where am I going? I don't have anything to do. Can you get me something to do? Most people are just stressed staying home. It is not about the income anymore. It is only that I want to be busy I want to be productive. So many people don't mind even working for free so long as they can access the basic amenities. And that is what is lacking in a country like ours. Not because we don't have... You see what Trump did the other time when he signed the executive order to stop some of the aid. Some people are complaining and I was shocked. We have been surviving on aid since independence. Even a child... akianza kutembea huwa anasaidiwa for a few months, anawachiliwa anatembea kivyake. You want to tell me 60 years after independence, we still need to get ARVs for free from a foreign country? We still need to get support from another country so that we have our children going to school. That is nonsense. And we have had leaders all through this time. The common factor, when you visit some of these leaders and former leaders, you will discover one thing. They live in secured compounds. They want to protect themselves from the people. There are some who have even... I went to Ichaweri the other day. This week I was in Gatundu. I had never gone to Gatundu since I was born. Do you know Jomo Kenyatta, our first president, actually built a very big church in his compound?
Church?
Yes.
The Catholic?
Yes. So he doesn't need to go and mix with other people. He has a Catholic church in his compound.
So you people... And
I want to believe he used to just say, priest, come and preach to me and my family, and so on. Most of these leaders want to isolate themselves from people. Why? Because of the sins they have committed against the same people they are leading. If you are a pro-people person, I don't think you will need a lot of security guys around you. You'll just freely mingle with the people. But because of the eating, you are eating and I'm sleeping hungry. You are driving in a nice car because of my taxes. You stay in a nice neighborhood. It will naturally build that spirit of jealousy. And that is why some people get mad and kill others. That is what I think.
Okay.